What if I told you that we could use in-game knowledge to predict the future of updates, to tell which characters are going to get upgrades and going to get tier 4s sooner than others? And before you say something like, oh, but every character is going to get a uniform eventually, Alex, why don't you tell that to Singularity? Why don't you tell that to Sin? Why don't you tell that to Okay, so Kang World Boss Legend is the newest big bad in the game, and we know he's eventually going to come out as a playable character, just like Gore did, just like Null did, just like Mephisto did, etc. We're not talking about that today. We know that's coming for sure. What we are looking at, though, is the information, the clues left in the game from the requirements. Because if you take a look back at previous requirements for, let's say, Null, now they seem very obvious in hindsight as to which characters were going to get upgrades. Now, some got upgrades sooner than others, but you can take a look, for example, at the first wave of tier 4s. You have mutants like Storm getting upgrades. You have human females like Blue Dragon and Black Widow getting upgrades. If we continue on to combat humans, well, how many combat human tier 4s did we get? Hulk, Carnage, Venom, Captain America, Moon Knight. There's so many, right? Speaking of Moon Knight, if you keep going up against Null, well, we got Thor here. And then we got, of course, durability is Hulk again. And then we got Thor again with Alien, right? You guys get the pattern here, right? It's very easy to see how these lead to upgrades because the devs know, right? Maybe not all players, right? Maybe this type of player, you're like, nah, Alex, I don't really climb. Okay, I'm a stage 9 kind of guy. And you know what? I can respect that. I'm a stage 9 kind of guy myself most of the time. But there are certainly players who like to climb. I mean, sheesh, you can see their names when you go ahead and you look at the rankings. That's definitely a case for some players. They like to climb. And so giving the restrictions just a little bit of finesse, we can go ahead and peek into the future for characters that are going to be upgraded. Because some of these restrictions essentially have no answers right now in the game. So they're going to need to come up with answers. And some of the character pools are surprisingly slim. So let's go take a look here at some of these restrictions. We're going to put all the restrictions on the screen here. We're obviously going to strike out some of them right away. You know, we don't need to worry about alien or villain or speed or leadership or female human or villain male or mutant, right? Basically, all the way up to 44, we basically have that answer solved. We don't need to worry about that. But then we get to Weapon Master. Now, Weapon Master potentially could be cleared by sort of a brilliantly stacked Moon Knight, maybe, who knows, maybe Wolverine in someone's dreams. But otherwise, Weapon Master is probably going to come down to Star-Lord as it currently stands. However, Star-Lord also has his own weaknesses, has his own issues with survivability. So there are some characters that you can peer into the future and see maybe the devs are going to want to make this character. Well, you also have Gamora, right? Let's not forget about Gamora. She's pretty solid. But you may want to peer into the future, particularly for characters that have gotten paywall uniforms. And in the Weapon Master category, who are also happen to be mutants, not right now, Smeek, we have not one but two options, right? We have Cable, who could certainly come back and get a new paywall uniform, a summer uniform, right? Not paywall, but summer, exclusive and full cost crystals, right? I call them paywall, but it's sort of lumped in. And then Deadpool. Both of these cats are mutants. Both of these cats are Weapon Masters, so they land on multiple categories for this list and for the restrictions of Kang, and they certainly could get upgrades in the future for a tier 4, and they're certainly popular enough characters. Like, sure, there are other characters like Elektra and Winter Soldier and whatever, right? But to be honest, a lot of these characters just don't have the popularity. Probably the only other option, though, I will say, is actually Kraven. Right, we know Kraven's movie is set to release later this year with Aaron Taylor Johnson. Imagine if this dude got a tier 4 and he was the way that a lot of players climbed up to stage 50 of Kang. Universal Hero is 50 and 54, so you're going to immediately think of Thor, right? Well, yes, but actually no. Besides Ghost Panther and then Jane Foster, there's not a lot of supports for Universal Heroes, and Thor's already kind of struggling on 29 with a bunch of support. So I don't know if he can do 50 to 54. I kind of doubt it. So what I think is going to need to happen for this stage to be clearable in a timely manner is going to be Nova Richard Rider getting a uniform and getting a upgraded tier 3 Transcendent so that you can use him as a leadership and a support. and then probably someone like Captain Marvel getting a brand new tier 4 that is squarely pegged for PvE content and a little bit more power creeps to today's tier 4s like Sharon Rogers and Miles Morales. Obviously, with the Marvels movie coming out, it's a perfect time to give her an upgrade, but we also have a lot of other options here that could be used. Now, I know Sentry and Silver Surfer and Blue Marvel are kind of PvP focused, so maybe those are a bit of a question mark, but Ghost Rider certainly getting a tier 4 and a new uniform that finally gives him a heal could be a massive threat to Kang's Empire with that 120% increased damage to villains. And then Scarlet Witch, always a fan favorite, lots of popularity in the game, could certainly get a new tier 4. I wouldn't be surprised if they made her sort of ABX, ABL centric, or if they tried to sort of cash in on players swapping to Captain Marvel and then swapping back to Scarlet Witch if they drop their tier 4s within 6 months of each other. But other than that, there's a lot of weak characters, as you can see. There's a lot of tier 2s in the Universal Hero category. Right after Universal, we have Blast Hero Female, and with the recent tier 4 of Sharon Rogers, she's probably going to blast through that stage like a hot knife through butter. With supports like Ancient Ones, Cyclops, and Riri Williams, it's not going to be that difficult, but you still also have the possibility of Spectrum getting a tier 4 for the Marvels movie. Now, the nice thing about this category, the Blast Hero Female, is that it leads directly into the next ability, which is the next category, which is, what is it called? Energy Projection. I always forget this one. It always looks massively weird. As you can see here, one of the most stacked lineups for characters clearing Kang, especially when you see not only Sharon Rogers, who you can use for basically 10 stages in a row, but also Magneto. Quick little PSA here, guys. Magneto deals extra damage to humans. You can see here increase basic damage dealt to human characters by 80%. Magneto shits on Kang, one of the only world boss legend the only world boss period who is a human, and it makes Magneto insanely good for that content. So yes, I mean, he may get power creeped out of it just by way of not having enough supports, but hey, at least for energy projection, he's got Cyclops and Polaris, so he's actually sitting pretty right now. He doesn't need to worry too much about that. Once Dazzler gets a tier 3 or Transcendence, he's going to be clapping Kang cheeks on an ungodly level. But yeah, for now, just know Magneto is a cheat code for Kang. Which leads us into our next category of restrictions from 65 to 69, Speed Male Human. Now, of course, this doesn't include only heroes. It also includes villains. But let's be honest, the list of Speed Male Humans are stacked in favor of heroes, right? We have Spot, we have Scorpion, we have Green Goblin, sure, but we have the Spider-Verse. All the Spider-Verse, but also we have Ant-Man. And Ant-Man is really nice, in my opinion, here because it's so thematic. Now, I don't know if he can do Kang 65 to 69. It might be a bit of a tall order for such a small hero. But if he can, it would be so dope to see Ant-Man crushing Kang just like he does. Well, better than he does in the movie, in my opinion. However, for the time being, when I can't put my faith in Ant-Man, I can probably certainly put my faith in Miles Morales. However, also keep in mind that because it's Speed Human Male, you don't have any access to the insane female passive buffs from characters like Shuri, White Fox, etc., Wave, even. So it's going to be a little bit difficult, and it's probably going to require the introduction of Mr. Nick Fury. Oh yeah, baby. Nick Fury tier 3 of Transcendence is probably going to unlock this stage for a lot of players once they climb up there, because his support buffs are just super nutty. But keep in mind, the Spider-Verse still has Chasm, so they're in good hands. 70 to 74 is Male Mutant. Now, normally I'd be very excited once I see Magneto, but because it's Male Mutant, we lose access to characters like Kitty Pryde's lead, Polaris' amazing support, Mystique, or even future buffs and supports like Dazzler. There actually are 0 male mutant supports besides Beast and Cyclops. It's pretty slim pickings in that sense. I mean, I guess you could use Colossus for the support defense up, but otherwise you're really, you're basically getting, what do you get, 30% recovery rate from Angel? Ooh, right? You're not really, well, I think it's giving you some dodge now or some shit like that. But anyways, you sort of get it. It's pretty brutal. In this day and age, to climb to such a high stage of a World Boss Legend without a support is probably unlikely. So I think you could speculate here on a future mutant being added to the game that has a stacked support like Polaris's, right? Where they have 2 mutant allies, something like this, or something potentially even better. I wouldn't be surprised if the character was paywall, but you can go ahead and start your speculation engines. Is it going to be Pyro? Is it going to be Cannonball? Is it going to be Blob? Toad. There's so many options here. They could be hero or villain because it's just male mutants. So yeah, there's a lot of stuff here, but who knows? Maybe the existing lineup of male mutants, Professor X, Magneto, maybe some combo wombo with Namor, have enough juice to take down 70 to 74 of Kang. 75 to 79 is going to cover a lot of ground that we already talked about. It's universal human. Now, as you can see here, 0 tier 4s right now, so this is 100% uncharted territory. This has to be speculation. There is no way in hell that any existing character is coming anywhere close to killing Kang at this high of a level. So obviously Captain Marvel is an immediate thought for she's a thought for clearing Kang, but of course Ghost Rider is another amazing option. Morgan Le Fay would stand as a fantastic support. I think Ghost Rider is also really great here because Ghost Panther, right? If you put Ghost Panther plus Ghost Rider plus Morgan Le Fay and Ghost Rider's tier 4, I think he just eats through that stage. I think he just cruises through that stage hardcore. But then again, you have the option of getting a new tier 3 Transcendence. She could get a new upgrade, get a support ability, what have you. You could get tier 4 Molecule Man, who knows? Tier 4, I mean, you got a lot of the first 4 all PvP, right? Sentry, Doom, Molecule, and Blue Marvel, but who knows? Combat Villain Human is the next one we've got up here, and this list right now is a little slim. I don't know if Dr. Octopus could do it. Probably Carnage and Hulk have no chance in hell, so my guess is maybe a juiced up Mr. Fantastic, or probably a better idea is just a brand new character. To be honest, there's no one here that's popular enough in the current meta and just in the current, you know, game, whatever, to really justify an OP upgrade. I mean, maybe Kingpin, he has a seasonal uniform, but even that I find to be a little bit outrageous. Like a Kingpin tier 4 out DPSing Carnage, Hulk, and Dr. Octopus would just feel super duper weird. But on the case of Mr. Fantastic, remember, it's Combat Villain Human. He's going to turn back into a hero for sure. He's not going to be Maker. I don't know if Maker tier 4, with this uniform being, what, 2 years old now, is going to have the juice that it needs to take down 80 to 84 of Kang. So this one's kind of a puzzler. I don't know, and I can't necessarily see them introducing a new combat villain who's also tier 4, who has the juice like that. But hey, anything's possible in this game. The command ability, one of my most hated tags, is again featured from 85 to 89. Now, we currently have 3 tier 4s that can follow and fill this category. We have, of course, Star-Lord, we have Storm, and we have Captain America. Now, it's possible that one of those 3 could, but out of the 3, only Captain America really has the defenses to go toe-to-toe with Kang at such a high stage. Star-Lord and Storm are probably going to get shredded to paper. So I wouldn't be surprised if like a future tier 4 Odin is lined up here. I would love to see a future tier 4 Black Panther, but putting your faith in Black Panther in this game has, you know, basically just been a disappointment. What I think is more likely that needs to happen for this stage to be completable is that we're going to need to see Coulson getting a tier 3 or a Transcendence so you can finally tap into his insanely valuable support. That's probably going to come with Secret Invasion and Nick Fury tier 3, but who knows? They might delay that even further out because it's such a high stage. Cruising into the 90s, we see the next category of hero female alien. And this one is a doozy. So it's heroes who are female, but they're also aliens. So ignore all of the male characters here. We already have 3 tier 4s in this category, but 2 of them are male. So we're going to ignore, like I said, Star-Lord and Thor. Gamora currently is the only character that qualifies for this. However, she does have access to a ton of supports, right? You have Valkyrie, you have Sif, you have Mantis. It's pretty nuts. However, I mean, you also have, I mean, waiting in the wings, you have Phyla-Vell, of course. But more than that, I see the possibility of the Eternals making a return at some point. As you can see here, the full Eternals lineup is here. Makkari, Sersi, Athena. And we know that the Eternals, they play so well together. They synergize so well, and Sersi is an insane support. So I could certainly see, especially if you see like a typing change, if Makkari becomes a combat, or if Athena, maybe not. But even something like Athena lead with Sersi and Valkyrie is going to just chew through. Of course, these characters need new uniforms and need tier 4s. They do not function at this late in the game, right? Having been released in 2021. They don't really cut the cheese anymore 2 years later for such a high stage of such new content. And then finally, maybe my favorite prediction of all, Speed Mutant, baby. Speed mutant. This is a super small category, and honestly, it was the inspiration to make this video because we literally have 0 answers right now. Just like one of the other stages, we literally have 0 answers for this category. There's no fucking way that any of these characters can clear Kang, even like the first 5 bars of his HP from 95 to 99. The level, the vast difference in difficulty, both in terms of HP and defenses, and in terms of how much damage he does, from stage 9 to 95 is just astronomical. It's astronomical, right? It took players months to clear 99 of Null, and Kang's scaling is way, way crazier than Null's, right? And honestly, the access to power that we have now versus then is not that much different. It's not. It's just basically just the uniforms and the sword system. So taking a look at this list, who really jumps out to you? I guess Deadpool, but really only otherwise Mystique and Rogue. Now, of course, there are other options here, but you also have to consider, right, for Domino and Phantom X to be even in the conversation, they're going to have to get a tier 3 or a Transcendence, and then they're going to have to get a tier 4. There's no way a tier 3 is clearing this, right? Even Miles is not cracked enough to clear this. Not to mention the fact that of this list, there's 1 support and 2 leaderships. You have Deadpool's lead and Kitty's lead, which are okay, and then you have Mystique. Besides that, it's slim pickings. So I could totally see one of these characters being changed and transformed into a support type character, possibly a Phantom X, possibly a Nightcrawler, but I could also see a brand new speed mutant coming out like Polaris, Paywall, you know, trying to make those bucks, and then of course enabling this team with maybe something like a sexy tier 4 Savage Shadowland Rogue, to clear that stage of Kang, because we know Rogue is a massive fan favorite. I'm actually surprised they waited this long to give her something. I'm also surprised they waited this long to give Mystique something. I'm guessing it has something to do with Marvel delaying everything mutant-wise and trying to sort of lower the mutant expectations until they start releasing MCU content. But I think it's I think it's lining up pretty well for the game, and once players start creeping up to the 95s of Kang, we'll start to see some insane speed mutants coming out, which I'm excited for because I really like this list overall, besides maybe Nightcrawler. Yeah. Anyways, that's it for the Kang speculation. How did you enjoy this month's Kang Bang? Hit me up in the comments down below. Please no harassment claims. Thanks so much for watching. Smash the like button, and I'll see you in the next one. Take care.